All right, so technically this is the next day, and I just finished fucking legs, or freaking legs, rather. But I got a Q&A post made, so let's run through some kind of burning questions. Really good arm day from what I remember. And it was right in here in freaking Torture. So actually, I guess there's some continuity. Same gym, same everything. But yeah, top question. How do you stay so positive? You're one of the only people I watch that never talk down on themselves. Have you always been like that? No, definitely not. And the way that I think about it now, a little older, I've kind of had some self-reflecting time. Honestly, before I posted any videos, I kind of went through this little phase of watching a bunch of kind of not full-on manifestation videos and shit, but just, kind of just getting a little bit of a better understanding of what you think to yourself. Every time it adds up, it really does add up, and it can kind of change really it can change how you freaking feel about yourself. So my understanding now is, for one, it's just objectively a better scenario to try to have a little more, I don't want to say fake it till you make it mentality, but kind of, this is a rule that I really like, and I do follow it, even if I'm really, it's been a while since I've ever been in a really bad mood when somebody asks me this. But the premise is, every time anybody, random, stranger, your friend, whoever, I guess more so stranger, this is just you walking around, you hold the door open for somebody. If they hit you with a, how are you doing? Never, even if you are feeling like total trash, everything sucks, never say it. The instant response, I've definitely had moments when I was just in my headspace was totally cooked. Somebody hits me with a, how you doing? Couldn't be better. Could not be better. It'd be illegal to be doing better than I am right now. And, not that just saying that makes it true, but it kind of puts you in that same feeling. It's, your brain's pretty easy to trick. You can smell something that's, a flavor, and your brain's kind of already getting the sensation of tasting it, Like if you had just plain rice, but you also were getting the smelling sensation of soy sauce or something, you'd probably think that the rice itself was a little bit salty, because you're getting that different sensation from a different neural pathway, So that's just kind of one thing about it. And it's you can kind of choose to be upset, You can choose to feel bad and look at the negative of everything. So if you can already choose to be upset, why not at least I'm not saying just walk around happy go like that one dude from Parks and Rec. You know the guy I'm talking about if you've seen the show. I'm not saying you have to walk around like him, but if you can at least try to spin it, whatever you're going through, try to spin it into a little bit of a W, or just a little positive. It kind of helps. It's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying it works all the time, but it's definitely better than nothing, And if you think about it, in a way, you kind of you're born, and not everything is sort of catered directly to you, more than likely. So it's do you want to add up to beating down on yourself? Or do you kind of want to, raise yourself up? If you put me in a ring and you said, Sam, it's you versus Conor McGregor. He's warm. He's steaming hot, warm, jumping rope. It's you versus him. The likelihood that I'm going to lose will probably decrease if I go into it with the headspace thinking really positive and I fucking got this. Even if the odds are totally against me, the likelihood is going to increase. Well, you know how I'm saying. If I go into it thinking I'm going to lose, right, I'm going to make it happen. It's like the guy who says, oh shit, give me a second to think about the quote. I forget how it goes. The guy who says he's going to succeed and the guy who says he's going to fail are both right, if you kind of feel me. So just something like that. Look up, I'm not going to try to send you on a freaking mission here, but a lot of stoic kind of tips and mindset approaches and Marcus Aurelius type shit. I'm not thinking like that all the time. It kind of helps. There's some good points in there. Can you show some of your warm-up routines? Yeah, I should start adding those in. I don't know. I kind of count that as a pre-lift where all I'm doing is like rotator cuff stuff and, rear delt and little things like that. But I'll try to throw some more in. This dude drinking the... Oh, yeah, because like the picture on this Q&A is a bunch of unlabeled 3D cans when we were doing a full-on flavor testing day. There's some bangers, there's going to be some new 3D flavors, which are going to be sick. And then we're also getting a little creative, so keep an eye out. I mean, some of these flavors are for next year even, but no, we're gonna up it. They're gonna be pretty cool. All right, let's take a look here. I'm in my mid-50s and went from 275 to 227, and I'm much stronger over the last 24 months. Thanks, Sam. From Are You Really 123? Now that's not a question, but that's fucking badass. So now you're just making me happy with that one. That's a very positive freaking comment. So let's scroll to maybe a better, more tantalizing question. What advice would you give someone who postponed their leg day after a long shift from work? From Zay Death. And to that I would, when I was younger, my headspace, and it still is a little, is thinking, shit man, how bad do you want it? And I don't think like that strictly with like other people. That's kind of like how I would treat it. Or if I'm going to get home super late, traveling, tired, I like the idea of thinking that my motivation to train and my willingness to train is just rock solid. Doesn't matter what the hell happened that day or how busy I was, I'm going to train. That's what I do. That's how I roll. But if it was really encumbered, let's say I get home tomorrow at like, I don't know, 1 in the morning or something from a flight, and I had a leg day planned for that night, well, maybe it probably would be more productive for me to just get some sleep, rest, recover, eat some food, and come back and hit legs the next day. So I guess it's more of a question of how much do you really feel that extra recovery is necessary, and how much do you think you might just be thinking you don't really want to do legs and you're using this as an excuse? And that's not rhetorical. There's no one correct answer. So if you just, actually kind of simmer on that and digest it for a second and think, I probably really should rest. I'll be able to hit a better leg day tomorrow. Solid. But if you also think, you know what? I think I can still hit it. And then you still hit it, even though it wasn't a perfect setup. Well, that's also solid. So that's a case-by-case basis. You're not screwed either way. And you're still going to work out. It's just only on a 1-day delay. So that's where I got to say, use your best judgment. Keys _ dot. What got you into swimming, diving, gymnastics over all other sports? And to that I would say, I'm not a swimmer, man. Diver only. There's some beef. It's kind of unspoken, unknown beef. Because usually swim teams and dive teams are put into the same category as the pool sports, which is weird because water polo isn't involved at all. But somehow they group the swimmers and divers, and there's like 150 swimmers and like 5 divers. So no, man, diver is the title. But just as a kid, we love being on the freaking trampoline, all the sorts of flips and everything. So what sports are like that? Really just freaking gymnastics and diving. So that was kind of just the transition. Like I did it when I was a kid, so we just kind of kept doing it. And then the fact that I liked it, why freaking stop? Let's keep looking here. Looney Maloon with 3 likes. Will you finally add me on Clash? You didn't even link. You didn't even do an add me friend link. So it's almost out of my hands with that one. Bud1239, lean bulking tips and what macro proportions are optimal for muscle growth. So lean bulking tips, I can tell you this: don't eat too much, right? Don't rely purely on the scale. You also want to see visually that you're not getting too soft. So maintain a surplus, not an unnecessary surplus. And the way that I would describe it as the SAM macro breakdown, gram per pound of body weight of protein. So if I'm 240, 250, I'm gonna eat 250 grams. Fats, probably 30% of that, 30, 40-ish. So that puts me at about 100 grams of fats per day, which I wouldn't want to go over. It just doesn't, it's not going to help. It's definitely more calories, but in my head, I want to be carbed up and full. More fats, like eating like if I had 400 grams of fats one day, I'm not going to wake up the next morning feeling all full and carved up. Probably just going to feel gross and like extra greasy. I'm already prone to oil production in my skin. 400 grams of fats is not going to help that situation. So I'd say probably 40% of that protein value in fats as like a upper limit. Honestly, lower, I wouldn't even mind. Sometimes fats just add up from the foods that I'm eating. And then carbs moved up as necessary, Look up a maintenance calorie calculator, or just count your calories for long enough, and then you'll kind of start to get a little bit of a gist of how much you're eating, and just raise it from there, The only macro I'm changing over these next few months as I'm trying to grow is increasing my carbs. Protein's the same, fat's the same. More carbs is what's going to kind of change my whole energy system. But we got to get out of here in a couple minutes. I got a meet and greet. Let's just get a few more good ones. Filbert -FP5, F5P, I mean. How do you know when to finish working out? When have you done enough sets? Lately, I've been feeling like I'm not doing enough in the gym. Big appreciative, Sam. Thank you. The way that I look at it is if every set that I'm doing, I'm really bringing it, every set of push downs, hard as I can to failure, even the ones that aren't to total failure, more so just squeezing, burning, but ending on that burning situation, I don't know. I just kind of know, if I really kill it on set number 1, I'm getting warm. I'm even getting a little pumped, but I'm not done. Set number 2, 3, 4, usually around that 8 to 7-ish range. When I finish the last one, maybe I make it an intensifier and do an extra drop set, extra squeezing something or other. Then I can kind of say, ooh, that's all I got. And it's not as much as I think I've done enough, but it's more so knowing that if I do 2 more sets, or if I do even another set, it's not going to make me feel more pumped. And it's not even going to feel that good either, because it'll get to a point where more doesn't, it feels like I'm just going through the motions rather than actually pushing myself towards like a finished state of being. But if your volume's probably around 8 sets and you're really killing it, that's about right. And the longer you do it, you'll get a better feel for your own necessary volume. But let's scroll down, find one more big one, and I'll come back to this. There's 500 freaking comments on this post. So I can, we'll throw in some Q&A talk. I'll even do one for tomorrow's video too. But yeah, here we go. Yeah, this is JBW3744. When did you realize your love of bodybuilding and that it was something you were able to compete at the highest level in? Well, I wouldn't say the highest level. That's Olympia level, but certainly taking regular, just muscle building. Am I the extreme? There's guys like Nick Walker and like Samson Dowda walking around at like 350 pounds. That's like 50% heavier than I am right now. So if we take the context of pure size, you'd probably say that's the highest level. And I'm never going to get that heavy. That's just not my wheelhouse. But for me, at least, pushing it as far as I am, I don't know. It just kind of, like the training angle just really clicked in the beginning. Like if I go back and I see 170-pound Sam hitting a double bicep and a freaking lat spread, I'm doing like a little bit of a quad pose. I got no cuts in my quads, but I'm still looking at him and feeling like a freak. I'd probably have to get like psychoanalysis from like a shrink or something to really break down like why I like it. But as far as I know, I just freaking love it. So even as a beginner to now, I think that my net enjoyment of doing a workout, finishing a workout, feeling strong, and strong is not an objective term. Strong is just a relative state of being. If you start off at 170 benching, maybe you can only do 135 for a few months pass. Now you're doing 185 for 10. Dude, you're fucking strong because you're stronger than you were before. And just that relative change, just that progression, somewhere deep in my freaking brain, it just scratches that itch. So that's probably the main gist of it. So beyond that, I don't know. I feel like I'm just, it's like you're asking a bird why he migrates. It's just, it's just what he freaking does. But yeah, either way, badass lift. Technically yesterday's badass lift of an arm day. So that's all I freaking got. I will see you tomorrow for a very nasty set of legs. 5 plates got squatted, and it was a pretty badass freaking set. I think in only a few months' time I could do 5 plates for 20. But let's freaking roll.